Transphobic British hate groups. It feels like we're talking about them a lot more these days, aren't we? You guys remember when about 3 months ago there was this big story, a very funny one to be fair, about a bunch of youth activists in the UK who had gone to a anti-trans hate groups gathering and unleashed thousands of crickets. I think it literally was like 10,000 crickets or like 11,000 crickets, somewhere in that, like, that ballpark. Just unleash them, cricket bombs all over the place. And these are a bunch of like stuck up, bitchy British old like hags. And so you better believe at the sight of anything with a like chitinous shell, they start screaming and panicking. And so you unleash a bunch of bugs, and all these women just start freaking out. Yes, J.K. Rowling was there and was supposed to speak, but they unleashed the crickets right as her speaking of engagement was beginning. They basically did biological bug terrorism to prevent her from speaking. Quite funny, to be honest. In fact, here is a video from the event. I assume this is like proper video. Oh no, this is just screenshots. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, copyrighted music, no! Here's some images of the event hosted by LGB Alliance, or Lesbian Gay Bi Alliance. The name referencing how they're like an alliance of lesbians, gays, and bisexual people against trans people and trans rights. They are, of course, mostly membered, run, and founded by straight people, though. Look at all those crickets. Man, they're so good at doing their job. They're crawling all over everything. Like, they're not even staying on the ground. They're crawling all over everything. Gotta love those crickets. Y'all remember that, right? I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a flashback to a positive story involving this group before we got into the more recent events. That entire conference was hosted by arguably the world's largest anti-gay hate group, LGB Alliance. They work with J.K. Rowling. They are kind of the face of anti-trans rights in particular, and they're growing in strength and popularity, especially in the UK, by the day. Most of their rhetoric is centered around two things: fear-mongering about the dangers that trans women must inherently carry by the fact that they were born as men, and men are evil and dangerous, of course, a position TERFs hold, and the idea that being trans is bad, and the trans people are trying to make kids be trans, and we need to fight against the trans people to prevent that. The reality is, of course, that there have always been gender dysphoric kids, and eventually they'll get old enough to figure it out. They'll more likely than not identify with a gender that different from the one they were assigned at birth, and ideally, being able to determine this is going to be the case and provide them the support they need to identify with how they do at a younger age is ideal, because the older you get, the more work you have to put in to reverse the effects of aging and puberty with the opposite sex. It's not impossible, but it's just more work. It's more work, and it's not necessary work. As a trans person, I've been told that I'm crazy and all kinds of awful things by people like this. Fuck LGB Alliance and these TERFs. I agree. I agree. You'll hear no argument from me on that. Well, here's the thing, though. LGB Alliance, being a hate group, are willing to engage in whatever low-blow, underhanded tactics are necessary in order to harm the safety, health, and well-being of LGBT people. And so, if you're a young person, maybe you're trans, maybe you're gay, maybe you're bi, maybe you're ace, there's a good chance that you feel different, isolated. There's a lot of reasons why you might even be singled out and actively oppressed or put down in certain settings. And because of that, at a much higher rate than any other demographic, LGBT youth, particularly like teenagers, have a much higher rate of depression, suicidal ideation, and a much higher likelihood of actually attempting suicide than any other demographic. You've probably actually heard this more from transphobes than you've heard from trans allies, usually in the form of a tongue-in-cheek talking point or meme. I believe it's 41%. Is that the meme? 41%? Because 41% of trans people at some point in their lives, statistically, will have attempted suicide. Not have committed it, but will attempt it. And this is an argument that transphobes make for two reasons. A, it's meant to make fun of trans people, like kick dirt in the wound, right? Like if you are a trans person who is suicidal or depressed, seeing that people are actively laughing about the idea of you actually killing yourself might make you go and do it, and they want you to do it. So like that's part of it. But then on top of that, there's the factor of they try to say, oh look, see how upset these people are? This clearly shows that allowing them to pursue this transition thing is not good for them. All the while, they are engaging in the exact behavior that is the cause of that 41% statistic they tout as both an epic own and the reason why being trans is bad. And yet they cause it. So knowing that these groups are willing to be that underhanded, they're willing to take lows that blow, or that blows that low, it should not surprise you that they have done something genuinely despicable. If you are an LGBT young person, there's a good chance you could use some support, you could use some help. Maybe no one in your life is willing to provide it. You might be very unlucky. Having a helpline, a specifically dedicated LGBT helpline, in order to validate you, give you advice, just have someone to talk to, it would be a valuable thing, right? That would be very important. And if you're a young person looking for that, I hate to tell you, you may stumble upon this. The Lesbian, Gay, and Bisexual Helpline for Young People. Go to the lgbhelpline.org. Worried about coming out? Feeling isolated? Struggling with friendships? Experiencing bullying? Live chat with a volunteer who is lesbian, gay, or bi, like you. Lines are open between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Tuesdays and 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Thursdays, and you can email at any other time. Speak to someone who feels positive about being LGB and who will help you feel the same. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, LGB Alliance supports conversion therapy. So, they actively recommend conversion therapy to parents who have LGBT, like lesbian, gay, bi, and trans kids. They recommend conversion therapy. This is not a helpline for LGB kids to learn how to come out and feel supported. This is a helpline for tricking kids into voluntarily signing up for conversion torture. Yep, they've taken funnily enough, these supposed feminists have taken a page out of the anti-choice book, where the anti-choice people, the anti-abortion people, used to open up these, and they still do, these pregnancy crisis centers that are supposed to look like the kind of place you could go to get an abortion or something like that, but in reality, it's like a Christian-run business that will actively, like, bully you into keeping an unwanted pregnancy. I don't call it conversion therapy. I call it conversion torture. Even if there is no, like, anything you would necessarily look at and say that's torture involved, the idea... Listen, I'm a straight guy, but the idea of being forced to look at pictures of naked women and then be subjected to a negative stimuli or forced to do some kind of therapy that would make me gay... Like, that is torture. That is a torturous idea. That's not what I am. Changing that would be bad. That is the same for a gay person. Like, usually conversion therapy, it's torture, involves negative stimuli in association with the thing they want to train out. It's just like, whether it be emotional, physical, or something else, it's got to be a negative stimuli, and that's how they do it. And that's just torture. Like, the idea of trying to change someone's sexuality is torture, in my opinion. So yeah. I don't say conversion therapy. I just always blanket call it conversion torture. And that is what they advocate for here. Now, I'm actually curious. What would happen if I went to the lgbhelpline.org? Let's read the website. The Lesbian, Gay, and Bisexual Helpline for same-sex attracted young people aged 13 to 24. Live chat with us on Tuesdays between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. and Thursdays between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Guys, what time is it? UK time? Could I actually start a live chat here, pretend to be a trans kid, and see what they tell me? Because I will do it. I'll do it live. It's 4 a.m. in the UK? Damn it. Tuesdays between 3 and Thursdays. So only Tuesdays and Thursdays between 3 to 6 and 4 to 7. Man, they gotta expand their hours if they're actually gonna get anyone. You know, like, shit. I don't even know how effective this will end up being, but God, isn't it demonic to see? The place to talk to someone who's lesbian, gay, or bisexual like you. We think it's fabulous to learn, or to be lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Really? Fabulous? That's the word you chose. That is the adjective you chose. Okay. I think that's interesting. I just think it's interesting is all I'm saying. We're here to provide help and support to same-sex attracted young people. No, okay. Does anyone say same-sex attract? No one who's, like, pro-gay says same-sex attracted, do they? Like, don't, like, pro-gay people just say gay? Like, I don't know. No one says same-sex attracted. Unless they're, like, analytically talking about a group they're not a part of. Anyway. Young people, so you can live a happy and fulfilled life, too. We get you. We are all lesbian, gay, or bisexual ourselves, and we understand the challenges you face in your life. Whether you're worried about coming out to your family, imagining what life will be like as an LGB person, Imagining what life will be like as an LGB person feel isolated. No fucking shot. Is this a blatant grammatical error on their website? You are... Okay, maybe it's not a grammatical error. Maybe... I think the implication is... You don't say it, but the implication is... One of the things you're worried about, or one of the things you're doing is imagining that your life... What your life will be as an LGB... No, this is completely fucked. No, I'm right. This is completely fucked as, like, a sentence. There's no grammatical... No, it's not even written weird. It's just written wrong. No, I tried. I tried to reread it a few times to see if it, like... works, but it doesn't. This is just straight up a mistype. This is straight up a mistype. Wow. That's really funny. Have relationship problems or are experiencing bullying? We're here to listen and support. Wait, is their site not loading, like, images? I guess these are supposed to be, like, little pictures, and then you, like, hover over it and it flips the card. The experience of coming out as lesbian, gay, or bisexual is different for everyone, and you may already have an idea of how your big news might go down with family and friends. Whether you think it'll be received well or badly, live chat with us about your hopes and your fears. Whether you're heartbroken over a relationship that's ended or worried that you'll never meet someone at all, feelings about finding or maintaining relationships can be overwhelming. We're here for you if you want to share. Oh wait, the bullying is really getting me down. Bullying can be physical or involve the threat of physical harm, but it can be emotional too. Have you been excluded from friendship groups or harassed on social media for being lesbian, gay, or bisexual? Get in touch because a problem shared is a problem halved. This is meant to seem like it is a good resource for LGBT youth. If I were to guess, LGB Alliance's goal here is probably for, like, big YouTubers and, like, celebrities to support and, like, tweet out this link to be like, yo, I'm doing a charity to raise money for LGBT youth. We're donate to LGB Helpline. Go talk to LGB Helpline if you're a young LGBT person. You got, like, that's probably their goal. In order for this extremely searchable, like, it's literally called the LGB Helpline. Like, they have the most basic name, so it would be the easiest to find, the easiest to remember, and the go-to for anyone who wants to potentially spread a resource like this that they might be fooled into thinking is legitimate to people who actually need it. Who are these weirdos again? A hate group called LGB Alliance. They're TERFs. They're British TERFs. And in fact, J.K. Rowling is actually one of the biggest figures that is, like, associated with them. She's a big speaker for them. But like I said, all their accusations do tend to be confessions. I've said it a million times, and Neon Bottom Wolf is smart to bring it up. Anyway, guys, with all that said, keep an eye out for things like this. If you actually need support, check out a group like the Trevor Project, a group that is not literally being run by a hate organization, okay? Like, seek out real help. Talk to actual LGBT friends or people in communities that you know are trustworthy for details on this stuff. Don't trust some random group that you've never heard of before, because you got to do your research. You never know. Would you have guessed, if you had just stumbled across that website page, would you have been able to guess that it was some hate group psyop shit? I don't think many of you would have. Especially once they've gotten their site a little more, well designed. I think it'll be very convincing. And not knowing who is running that shit going into it, many of you might have fallen for it. Especially if you're in like a dark place, desperate for help, you might not be very critical of what you're engaging with. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, enjoyable, or helpful in any way, then please consider leaving a like and a comment. It really does help a lot, whether you're watching live or after the fact. It's the best way to support my channel in the algorithm, and it's totally free, so I really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos. And of course, finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, and help me keep the lights on and the roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, as always, and as always, have a good one.